Hello, hello. Welcome to Maker Studio. I am Cheryl and I create over on the Home of My Making page. I am here today to show you a fabulous new stencil that we got. And hope by now you've already seen them, which are our layered stencils that we have. So what I want to show you is we have a layered stencil called Layered Houses. Now, if you haven't checked them out yet, go ahead and check out the link up above. But what the concept is to layer each section on top of each other. So I'm going to show you how that works. So we have a bunch of new ones, different styles, and this one just happens to be houses. So if you just hopped on, don't forget, a Maker Studio will be giving away this stencil today, so tag 3 friends and also share this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of its sleeve, and it always comes on a backing because this is a tri-mesh stencil. It's adhesive, it is reusable, and this particular stencil comes in 6 segments, which you would cut out where these cutout lines. So before I go ahead and do that, this is what I like to do. I like to, on the back of here, write the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I actually like to apply them in the order that they came on this stencil. You don't have to do that. You could apply them any way you want on different ones first before the other. But I will call this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the backing of them, I will put the numbers so that while I'm applying them, I know which one goes on top of the other. Now again, you don't have to do that. You can layer them any one on top of the other that you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out each segment of this stencil, and there's 6 of them. And we have a few different varieties of this type of stencil now. And this one just happens to be the house stencil, which I have to say is my favorite, but I like anything in decor that has a house in it. So again, if you are just hopping on here, what I would do is go ahead and tag 3 friends and share this video so you can be in the running for this stencil. Again, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at the back and I'm going to go ahead and put them in order so that as I'm on a live, and again, I'm doing this live, so I'm not doing it at my leisure, I have them in order to how I want to layer them on top of each other. So what I went ahead and did is I just got a simple little clipboard, and I took some of the one-step paint in black and I just put it onto the top of this clipboard. Now my theory here is we have a lot of holidays coming up. I have notes everywhere. I have recipes everywhere. So this is going to be my go-to board so I can keep the holidays in order. So I already applied the one-step paint and I let it dry thoroughly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first segment off of its backing, and I'm going to apply it where I want it to go on top of this one-step paint. Now, on these little sections, you will see these little corners. So the premise is that every time you put a stencil on top of each other, you would line up these little L's in each corner so that when it layers it right on top of each other. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to keep it so I know where it is, I'm just going to take a piece of chalk and I'm just going to put it where those little markings are. Now that'll come off later, that's why I did it with chalk. This way I know how to align each layer on top of each other. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white chalk art, which again, I love this product, and I'm going to take a spreader that I had cut into a bunch of different pieces because I'm again going to use a bunch of different colors, so I just want to be on the go with it. So I did cut a spreader in a couple of different pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do, now I have it positioned and I have it marked. That's what you have to do on the first level or the first piece, because every other piece goes on top of it. So mark your first piece where you want it to go. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this white chalk art on here, and the name of it is Peace and Joy, and I'm going to go over this stencil. pushing it through the mesh, and you're going to see part of the design because, again, it only comes in segments, so the whole design is not on the first part of the stencil. So I'm just making sure I'm getting all the sections that I need to get. And the good thing about chalk art is if you do have anything left over, you can put it right back into your container. Keep these closed. It's a chalk-based product, so it's made of water. You don't want it to dry out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this up. Once again, I do have a water bath next to me that's going to I'm going to put all my segments in until I get off of the live. Now that's the first part of it. Again, it's not finished because every layer has to go over the top of it. So this is going to be the second layer. And I have them numbered. Again, you can not do them in the order that they come in on that big old sheet, but I like to just have that in my head. Now, what I'm going to do is where the markings are is, again, where I'm going to line up this next stencil. But before I do that, I almost caught myself. I do need to let this dry. And I am going to take a heat gun and let it dry. So note to self, make sure every color that you put down, you dry. I am using a heat gun. You could walk away for about 15-20 minutes. It'll probably be dry. So you do want to do that because remember, I'm sticking a stencil on top of each stencil, which would have product on it. Chalk art dries pretty quick too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up those little corners that I had marked in chalk. And you could even use a little bit of the chalk art paste and do that if you didn't want to use chalk. I'm just going to put a little bit more there because the chalk does come off. And now what I'm going to do, and the funny thing is there's just a little bit of stencil down here because it's a layering effect. Each stencil has a little segment of the whole picture, okay? So now I'm going to use the red chalk art, which is called Love Bug. Nice rich red color. Take another little spreader, get a little bit on, and there's just a couple of little details on here of the stencil. So this isn't a lot that I'm going to be using. Again, once I have all the little stencil pieces pushed through with the chalk art, I'm going to remove this again. Pulling it up, and then it's going to reveal another part of the stencil. So see how it's filling in, right? Again, close up my products because again, they are water-based. Dry it again, and then go to the next section. And you keep doing that pattern of layering, drying. There's 6 segments to a pattern. A stencil pattern, so you would be doing it 6 times. And again, I already had in my head what color scheme I was going. Since it is houses, it's a seasonal stencil, I'm doing in the traditional colors. So again, line up where those little markings are because it's gonna overlay again. I think I'm going to take some green now because I'm going to do like red, green, white, gray, and silver. Take a little spreader that I cut off and again go through and press it through the stencil. I'm going to put that one in a water bath because I probably won't be using that color again. Close up your containers and pull it off. Again, if you're just hopping on now and you've just caught this, go ahead and watch it in its entirety when we're done. But also, if you just hopped on here, go ahead and tag 3 friends and share this tutorial and you will be in the giveaway for this particular stencil. So see how it's starting to layer in the colors or one on top of the other. So let me get to the next segment. Again, at the beginning I did number mine, so it's keeping me accountable as I'm doing this live. Let me dry that. Don't forget drying in between. It's kind of magical watching the whole picture develop almost before your eyes. Again, I'm lining up those little L's that are positioned there so that they can go on top of each other. Now I'm going to take some of the chalk art in Can't Never Could, which is like a gray color. Put just a little bit in here. Again, there's not a lot of stencil here that needs to be applied with, but there is just a little piece in there. So pull this up again, and again it did a whole nother segment of the picture. See how you could see the colors coming? Now I have 2 more to go, so I'm going to dry this again, and you could probably just stop right here. Again, you don't have to add the rest of the graphic. You could determine that as you're building it up, whether you just want it to stop there. Again, the chalk art dries pretty quick, even without a heat gun. But you do want to make sure every layer dries. And if you want to use the gel art ink as your product, same thing. So again, this one just has a couple of little windows here that are going to then frame out this picture. Line up your little L's. Press it down. I'm going to use the metallic silver now because they are windows. So I just thought maybe that would look like the outline of a window. So I'm going to, again, apply the chalk art, take it off, dry it, and do my last portion of the stencil. Again, pull off. Now again, I do have a water bath over here because I am trying not to let that product dry in the stencils while I'm doing this. You would get up and go ahead and wash it. So again, now we got a whole nother layer going on. The last but not least is this little stencil at the end. Obviously it looks like it's going to apply some snow, which I will do in white. So I'm going to dry this. There's so many variables with this stencil because the layering of different colors is going to give you a different look every time you do it. I did do mine in more traditional colors of the red and the green and the white and the silver for the holidays, but you can do it any color you want. Now, this one I noticed doesn't have any little cutout in it, but it will just go over the whole surface, and I'll just use some white chalk art, and we will have snow coming down on this stencil. So I'm going to get a little bit of white. There's just little dots all over this entire stencil. We'll see how that plays out. Super cute, super cute. Again, we do have a couple of different layered stencils. This is the layered house stencil. And then it just snowed on my stencil. There you go. So see how that turned out? Just added a little bit of snow. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry. And this is what I'm going to use to corral all my notes, all my recipes for the rest of the holiday season. So isn't that a cute little project? Great stencil, layered stencils. Go ahead up in the comments or the description up there and look at the layered stencils. There's different patterns, a very unique idea to layer them on top of each other and using as many colors as you want. You could have even stuck with the same color if you want, but the varied colors gives it the dimension, and you could not even have to put all 6 stencils on each project. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's a very, 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 very cute way to apply stencils. I'm actually happy about this. So if you're new, welcome. Let us know where you're watching from. Also, don't forget to tag 3 friends and share this tutorial so you can be in the drawing for this fabulous layered house stencil. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you soon.